Well, folks, people are starting to wake up. I'm seeing a whole lot of people who are finally coming around to waking up and realizing exactly what MAGA is doing to them and exactly what Donald Trump is doing. We can look at it from all kinds of angles, and we can start by saying, boy, it sure took you a long time. You sure had to live through a whole lot for you to get here. But what did I say so many times around the channel? I said, it'll have to bite them. When it starts biting them, then you will see them speak up and speak out, and we're starting to see that. At the time I sit down to do this video, the government is still shut down, and it doesn't look like there's an end in sight at the moment. Mike Johnson seems hell-bent on keeping everything closed, and they seem hell-bent on always finding a way to pass the blame and put it solely on the Democrats, and that's laughable because they're the ones in charge. But I wanted to show you a couple of clips here because Mike Johnson went on C-SPAN, and he took callers. And this is exactly Exhibit A as to why Republicans stopped having town hall meetings with their constituents, because they have to face the music. People are waking up. People are upset because it's affecting them. But look at Mike Johnson right here, man. He has no soul. This is one of the most soulless politicians. I really thought Mitch McConnell was soulless, but I almost feel like Mike Johnson might be about to dethrone him in that category. Take a look.
Republican line, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have two medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military is getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right.
So the fact that he actually sat there and didn't interrupt her, I almost will give him just a little bit of credit, because I don't think Donald Trump could have sat there, and we know Pam Bondi couldn't have sat there that long and let someone say that. But the question becomes, how could you sit there and listen to one of your constituents, someone who is for you and been for you this entire time? How could you sit there and listen to them say that and hear the level of panic in their voice and just sit there and nod along? And then, what's he got? What does he have at the end of the day? The guy has accused us of everything. They've blamed us with everything. They've labeled us domestic terrorists, done everything they possibly could do to demonize us, but they never take any responsibility for anything, and they never have an alternative. But in this next clip, he's met with another caller who's not happy about the military being on the streets. And listen to Johnson's smug and just BS lying response.
I just want to start by saying, hearing you say that everyone is smiling in the cities where troops, our National Guard, has been rolled into, feels dystopian and insane to hear you say that, watching the response to this. But that's not actually my question. My question, I just needed to say that while hearing you talk about this. My question is, if Republicans and Democrats can agree to a 1-year extension to the ACA subsidies, removing this sort of talking point of illegal immigrants draining our resources, as you sit here and lie about this, would you support that bill and bring it to a vote on the House floor? This is a big question that I have for you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, not lying. I'm telling you the truth, and you can go look at all the documents yourself. Don't look at Republican paperwork. Look at the Congressional Budget Office, who said that we had at least 1.4 million illegal aliens. draining the resources from Medicaid, which is why we put their forms into law and got it signed July 4th. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries' counterproposal for the CR would reverse all that. Look at page 57, section 2141 of the bill that they filed. I made it easy for you. Go to speaker.gov, my website. It's right there on the homepage. See for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Look what they wanted to do. But with regard to whether or not the subsidies could be extended for a year, Hakeem Jeffries came out yesterday and said that is a non-starter. You have to ask him why he said that. I'm not sure. But he and I both know that we have a lot of work to do within our respective caucuses to build consensus around that. Many, many people here believe you have to have serious changes and reforms to make it work better. Those subsidies are propping up insurance companies, and it is driving premiums up higher. It is not solving the problem. You think about this. When the government subsidizes something, it means it's not working. The EV mandates, the electric vehicle mandates, the reason the government said we'll pay you $7,500 if you buy an electric vehicle is because nobody was buying electric vehicles. And even when they did the subsidy, it didn't work. So we reversed that. The subsidy means that Obamacare is not working. So we need to fix the root of the problem and not continue to add the taxpayers' funds on top of that. That's a real concern.
Well,
So he says that Obamacare is not working, but I want to point out that he has never brought, and there's never been a Republican that has ever brought an alternative idea to the table. We're still waiting on Donald Trump's concepts of a plan. We've still not seen it. We've never seen a health care plan from him. We've never seen an alternative. And how would you feel if you was the caller who supported Mike Johnson, supported Donald Trump, called in and got that schmug talking down to you answer? One thing I've said so many times is that once Donald Trump is out of the political arena, they're going to have a hard time finding someone who can be that cult of personality. And based on that response, it's not going to be Mike Johnson. For whatever reason, I will never understand why that people bought into Donald Trump and his BS, but he does have a way of speaking in a manner that makes the person think that he's on their side. We don't buy it. I know that we're reasonable, logical people, so we're looking over it going, what in the hell? How's that possible? But he does do it, Trump does, in a way that they still feel like he's fighting for them. Mike Johnson comes off like a schmug prick talking down to you, and so does J.D. Vance. Anytime Vance tries to speak, he comes off schmug, he comes off condescending, exactly like Mike Johnson did there. So as time rolls on, we get deeper in the weeds in this administration, it begins to affect more and more people, and it's going to. When those moments comes, more and more people is going to walk away, and more people are going to start waking up. But like I've said so many times, it will have been once it happens to them. And folks, that's truly frustrating. It really is. I've said many times from the channel that I'm not going to want to sing Kumbaya with them once it's over, but I do understand that you have to give people a bridge back. They have to be able to come back at some point in time. But I do believe that when they get that bridge back, if we extend that and give them a bridge back over here, they have to leave their racism over there on the other side. They have to leave their bigotry, their homophobia, and all of the, cruel behavior they've dished out over the years. I'm glad to see people turning around. I'm glad to see people waking up. But there's more to just going, we were conned by Donald Trump because it bit us in the ass. There's a lot more that they have to say before we'll ever be able to trust them or hear them out. But you're probably not going to see Mike Johnson go take calls anymore. That's one of those things. You probably won't see that anymore. And you're probably not going to see very many Republican town halls because they can't face the music, because their ideas fall apart. And I'm really not sitting here trying to flex. I get no joy out of saying, we told you so. But we told you so. We told you these things were going to happen. They're continuing to happen. And as we move forward, we're going to see more things happening. And when hospitals start shutting down in our part of the world and people's like, how'd that happen? Well, that's part of what we was trying to warn you about. We tried to tell you that was what was in the big, beautiful bill. Obviously, you didn't read it. And that's the thing, folks. They don't read these things. They just take Donald Trump's word for it. For that caller's sake, I hope he didn't take Mike Johnson's word on any of that because it was all bullshit. And I don't think the person did. I think those callers we heard was people that had woke up and was at the end of their rope. Let's hope they stay here. Let's hope they stay here with the voice of reason and continue to work through this together. It's a shame that we had to get here, though. It's a shame that they couldn't just see what was happening right in front of them. And it had to get to this point for them to wake up. I'm glad they're waking up. But damn, didn't it take them long enough.